Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a flashlight video, and today I just want to give you a quick rundown on this Wowtac W1. If you're not familiar, Wowtac is sort of the budget line from ThruNite, and if you you can put their lineup side by side, and you'll see quite a bit of similarity. Oftentimes, if there's a ThruNite you like, you may be able to find an equivalent Wowtac. It'll be cheaper. And thinking of cheap, these guys are pretty affordable, like 21 something on Amazon. If you're in Canada, that's more like 30 bucks, so like 29.99 I think in Canada, and like 21, I don't know, 21.50 or something in the US. Not a bad price. Now, I will say this, we've talked about this before, but very briefly, Wowtac has a different warranty than ThruNite and even Olight, and it's not quite as strong. That's one of the ways they save money. And so you'll have to decide for yourself whether you want to save yourself a bit of money up front or, save yourself a bit of money if anything goes wrong. For me, I'm happy to buy this, and I think the way the warranty works is it's only 30 days to return or exchange if you have the packaging and it's essentially in new condition. Otherwise, if it's after 30 days and something goes wrong, you can send it back and they'll fix it, but the cost and shipping is on you. All right, so that's kind of how that works, and I thought I'd just throw it out there at the beginning so that you can make your own choice in terms of how you want to do that. This little guy is 560 lumens, which I thought was pretty decent for a $20 flashlight, and I've been carrying this guy in pocket without a clip. You can see I don't have the clip on it. It does come with a clip, and so if that's the option you prefer, but I find with these shorter fat lights, when I clip it in the top of my pocket, it's very, very noticeable, where if I just drop it in my pocket, they kind of disappear and carry much more comfortably. So that's my particular preference, to carry it that way. The size on this guy is pretty decent. This is up here at the thick end. You can see up by the bezel, it's a little thicker. So 7/8 of an inch here, so under 1 inch. Down here, it's like a 1/4 inch. All right, that's at the magnetic base here. Overall length is going to be 2 11/16, and it weighs in at 1.8 ounces. A couple quick size comparisons here. Here's the obvious comparison. This is the Olight baton, or S Mini baton, which is 550 lumens. So this guy's 560. You can kind of see similar design. This is a CR123 battery. This is a different battery. I'll get to it in a second. It's 16340, which is kind of different, although not a big deal. And again, I'll speak about that in a second. Let me grab a couple of other items just so you can get an idea of size on this, so you can kind of go, okay, that's about the size I'm looking for, or no, that's too big. All right, so there's some of the items I had sort of sitting around here that you can use as a comparison to give you a reference point for how big or maybe how small this is. And it's pretty good, okay? I definitely don't have any big complaints about it. Wait a second, I think if you're in Canada, there's a toonie. See if I have a quarter. I know our quarters are very similar in size to a US quarter, so there you go, throw that guy in there. All right, so hopefully that gives you a good handle on the size now that I've thrown in a couple of comparisons there, and it's going to roll away on me. Let's quickly talk about function and features, okay? So this has a number of modes. It has a 0.5 lumen Firefly mode. It has a 12 lumen low mode. Medium is 60 lumens, and high is 197 lumens. If you double click, that'll put you into turbo, which is 562 lumens. It'll stay there for only a short time, then it'll drop down. And finally, you can triple click to get this into strobe. So let's give you a quick rundown on the functions. Obviously, you're going to click the button to turn it on. If you hold the button now, it's going to come on in low mode. If you hold it now, you can see it'll cycle through the modes. And if you, let's say, so now it's in high, turn this guy off, turn it back on, it comes back on in high. So you can see it's got that memory function. If you want strobe, you're going to have to triple click, and it doesn't matter what you're doing from any mode, whether it's off, on, whatever the case may be. If you triple click, it's going to go into strobe mode. If you double click, it's going to go into turbo. Okay, now the one thing you can't do is if you've got the light on, then I'll cycle through. Okay, so I've got the light on. I don't know why I'd want to do this, but if I want to get it into moonlight mode, I need to shut it off and then hold down the button. So holding it down, you can see that's barely noticeable, but it is now in moonlight mode. You can see that little button. You can see that little hotspot there. Okay. And of course that makes sense because if you're, if my wife's sleeping or I'm, on a car trip or something and I don't want a bright light, it makes sense that I can get it into moonlight directly from off just by holding it down. All right. So those are the functions. Features here, we have a magnetic tail cap. It does come with a lanyard and a pocket clip, neither of which I have attached. As we've already discussed, I carry this in my pocket, so those things don't make sense. Now, this has been bouncing around in my pocket for a few months, and you can see it's held up pretty well. It's a button clicker, not a tail. So, however you feel about that. I think I've mentioned this already, but I'll mention it again. It is magnetic here on the tail, so you can stick it to stuff if you're, I don't know, working on your car or something like that. And over here, you can see another feature. So this is why I was pointing out the battery doesn't make as much of a difference. This is internally rechargeable with a micro USB. Okay, so that's why normally my rule is if I'm buying a light, I want to buy a light that I already have batteries for. So that's going to be CR123 or 18650. However, the time that I feel okay breaking that rule is when I've got a light that's that's got a built-in charger. Okay, so in this case, because I can charge this directly, I don't feel like, I don't need to go out and buy a bunch of 16340 batteries. And in fact, whenever dealing with, now this is my rule, this is not hard and fast. And if you know a lot about this and you're very comfortable with it, you can figure it out, okay? But for, let's just say for, for the ease and simplicity of everyone being confident, okay, if I was going to buy a replacement battery for this, I would be going to Wowtac, okay, and buying this exact battery from Wowtac so that I know for sure it's compatible. And that's what I would advise you to do. Yes, it's possible to do your research and find other batteries that will work. Frankly, I have enough flashlights that I'm not going to do any of those things. Okay, if I'm like, hey, I got to take the garbage out, I need a light, and I go to pick up this guy and it's out of batteries, guess what? I'll grab a different light. If this was your only light, then it would probably make some more sense to have an extra battery. Even in my EDC bag and stuff like that, I make sure that I've got a couple of extra lights. So I'm never totally stuck depending only on one single light. That's just the way I do it. You could absolutely, have this and then have some spare batteries for it. Not a problem at all. It's just not the way I choose to do it. I like to have a whole second or even third or probably fourth flashlight with me. All right. Now, in terms of what I think about this light, after a few months of using this quite regularly, I have to say I am very, very happy with it. It's not expensive, right? $29 in Canada, $21 in the US. It works. Now, it does work similar to an Olight, and for me, that's that's important because I'm a dummy. Okay, so I don't need to figure out another way of working a flashlight. This works in a very similar way to my Olight batons, and I've got 2 or 3 different ones of those. And for that reason, it's very, very comfortable for me. I know that I can click it to turn it on. I can hold it down to cycle through the modes, and I don't have to, I don't have to be like, oh, what flashlight am I carrying and how do I work it? The other thing I like about this is, at least to me, I find it fairly easy in the dark to find this button and figure it out. Okay. By the way, this does have a lock, but I never use the lock, so I'm not even going to talk too much about it. And for this one, I think the way the lock works is you hold it down for a certain amount of time to unlock it, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense. But again, it's not something I use. It's not something I really care about. There may be some of you out there, and if you have kids like I do, yeah, your kids will turn your flashlights on and use the batteries. Again, I don't care because I've got other lights and I'll just plug this in. So, what do I think of it? Well, guess what? It's easy to carry around. It's fairly budget friendly, and it does what I need it to do, which is light stuff up when it's dark. And so for all those reasons, I think this is a great light. I like the fact that I can save a little money over a through night or an Olight, which, tends to be even a little bit more. And that the function is pretty simple. So it works well for me. Maybe it'll work well for you. If so, check the link in the description. I do have an Amazon link for Amazon.com. I didn't put an Amazon.ca link because it just never gets anywhere for me. Okay. So there you go. If you actually, you know what, I'll put one in this time. We'll put an Amazon.ca link at the bottom, Amazon.com link at the top. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will talk to you soon.